We're all looking for communities. All of us belong to a tribe, whether we realize it or not. I believe that for anyone who's listening to this right now who doesn't have a sense of where their tribe is, you just have to make yourself open to it. And you have to be willing to ask the questions. There's no such thing as an uncomfortable question. There's no such thing as a bad question. We learn primarily through community. We serve each other best when we move from transactional to relational. It's those soft skills that help us become better husbands, fathers, wives, whatever the case may be. It is incumbent on all of us who have received gifts to return that favor.
So we're both tennis fans, and one of my favorite players, I don't know who yours are specifically, but Arthur Ashe. Love watching Arthur, of course. I knew you'd be a fan.
I've played Arthur Ashe Stadium back in the day,
fantastic.
long time ago.
Fantastic. So one of the mantras of Arthur Ashe, of many, that one is start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. And to that, let's talk a little bit about what Arthur was probably talking about. I think there's, my point here is that you have evolved over your lifetime, and to your purpose, you have facilitated, organized, founded a number of substantial groups, peer groups that have the same focus, abundance and finding new opportunities, going through the challenges of life, all the things that you're about. There's a lot of people that be listening to what we're talking about today and say, I'd love to be in that group, but I'm not there. In fact, in my life, I've always wanted to reach to higher groups, and there's been times when people would tell me, hey, not yet, not quite your time, keep doing what you're doing, kind of to Arthur Ashe's point. What would you say to people that are on that pathway? They're listening today and go, well, Tiger 21, you got to have a certain net worth, and R360, and but there's a place for everybody, is there not, Chris? What would you say to people that are like, well, I'm not sure where my place is? How do you go about finding mentors or groups that would be most appropriate wherever you are in your life?
So you said something that is absolutely spot on. We're all looking for communities. You and I both call them tribes, and all of us belong to a tribe, whether we realize it or not. Maybe it's a social tribe. Maybe it's, folks that we hang out with in the apartment that we live in. Maybe it's a philanthropy. Maybe it's a religious organization. We're part of communities. And what's interesting is, and that cliche, it's when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I believe that for anyone who's listening to this right now, who doesn't have a sense of where their tribe is, you just have to make yourself open to it. And you have to be willing to ask the questions. I learned a long time ago, there's no such thing as an uncomfortable question. There's no such thing as a bad question. We learn primarily through community. That's how most of us learn in school. That's how most of us learn professionally. And why wouldn't you want to spend time developing yourself personally, professionally, as an investor, as a philanthropist, as a religious leader, whatever the community is? And there are so many great communities. We both work in the mastermind group, and there are an infinite amount of masterminds all throughout the United States and the world. And there are a lot of great groups. I believe, as I know you do, David, that we come from a world of abundance. There is plenty of opportunity. There is plenty of access and the ability to connect. So for your listeners that are looking for that, I would say reach out to you, reach out to me, look for peer-to-peer learning groups that are maybe local or national in their communities that align with not just the financial goals, but as you and I both know, we're looking for character, value, moral, and ethical sets that align. Because I'm not interested, and I have never been one to create transactional peer-to-peer groups. And there are a lot of those too. Mm-hmm. I believe that we serve each other best when we move from transactional to relational, and we focus not just on what is obvious in front of us, be it investments, be it philanthropy, whatever the case may be. But to your point, it's those soft skills that help us become better husbands, fathers, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, parents, whatever the case may be.
Chris, I know that we talk in terms of currencies, and I think you said it well, but the ultimate currency for you in your life, and I think probably for most people outside of all the materialism, all the money we can make, whatever that may be, what is that? What's that ultimate currency for you?
It's the same for both of us. It's relationship. Yeah. Actually, the two currencies that I think drive everything that we both do, especially as we get older, it's relationships and health.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm a huge fan of, you met him, Michael Cole. Michael Cole is the author of the book More Than Money. And he talks about the 6 forms of capital. Those are financial, intellectual, social, human, emotional, and spiritual. And to enjoy a life fully lived, you have to be firing on all 6 of those pistons, right? You have to be focusing on human capital right alongside emotional, spiritual. You have to be physically in, you know, if as you well know, if the relationships suffer, your quality of life suffers. If your health suffers, your quality of life suffers. You know, financially, all of us in the United States, we're all doing fine. We all live like the kings and the queens of old. Everyone's in great shape. So it's not typically putting food on the table that's the challenge. As you and I both know, and as most of the members that I had with Tiger 21, with Gobundance, with R360, we struggle with our relationships. We struggle with our health. We struggle with feelings of inadequacy that, you know, if you're 25, if you're 75, can still plague you. It's those kind of things that I find can create, if we can address those issues, the most long-term impact and value to these tribes and these audiences that we serve.
It's difficult. I think probably more for men than women, although it works on for both genders, is the ability for us to be real, to be vulnerable, and to do that with people. You've got to have trust, relationship, the caliber of people, whether you set the stage or the group or the environment yourself, or you decide to become a part. It's that trust that allows us to strip off the outside, you know, armor, right? That we all try to dress up in to protect ourselves, because we all feel inadequate many times in relationships and so many areas of life. We bear, you know, one set of big wins. You know, it's the trophies, whatever the trophies are. It's like, that's what we look back. It's like, but how very void of meaning those can be, right? And so having people that you can actually be real with, and it's hard, but when you're in a group, and I know the way you facilitate so well, you do that very, very well, is you take all that down and guys and gals, let's just lay online. Here's what we're here for, right? It's not to, I mean, certainly we want to celebrate wins, got to do that, but still, what is it that's missing in our lives? And sometimes you got to peel a lot of bandages off, right? A lot of pain, a lot of scar tissues there to get down to it, and really discover what's been holding me back. What am I still fearful of in life? Because it's there, right?
I'm sure many of your audience has read the book from Brene Brown called The Power of Vulnerability. And it's an outstanding read, in so much as you would think that to be vulnerable is a sign of weakness, where actually, as you and I have both experienced, it's a sign of strength. And so in the work that I do, and a lot of the facilitation that I do, I have no problem being open, vulnerable. One of the exercises that I've done in Tiger 21, I've done in Gobundance, and I will do in R360, is how interesting, not only to write our own eulogy, but how interesting to share that with others. And I've done that exercise multiple times. And what I find is that there is a tremendous connection that comes from reflecting on our own lives, sharing that with others. And then especially if you can be truly authentic in sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly, people tend to rally around that authenticity, that genuineness, that vulnerability, because in seeing the vulnerability in somebody else, maybe we humanize that a little bit better in terms of the vulnerability within ourselves.
Yeah, no, it's very well said. Very well said. You're the proud father of a beautiful young lady, Bishop, who I had the privilege of meeting not too many months ago.
Yeah.
What general frameworks, not specific advice, that's father-daughter, but what general frameworks, how are you helping her at age 20, going back, because you talked about, where you were at age 17, 18 in that same, what have you tried to empower her with? That, again, if you were speaking to any 18, 19, 20-year-old at that point in their life, what would be some key frameworks that you would want to give to them, or what you've given to Bishop?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is I am anything but a perfect parent. So I've made my fair share of mistakes, as we all have. One of the things I did, and it was from some learnings that occurred while I was at Tiger 21, is I read 2 books. The first one is called The Price of Privilege, and it talks about how not to retard your children with wealth and the accoutrements that come from that. And then the second book is called The Blessing of a Skin Knee. And that book is all about teaching you to give your children the love and the grace to let them fight their own dragons. And so I'm divorced, so I have not had nearly the influence that I had hoped to have on my daughter. But what I have instilled in her is hopefully a sense of a work ethic, she's incredibly hardworking. She's academically incredibly successful, but she's also kind and loving and giving and relational. And I'm actually more proud of those character skill sets for her, because like all kids, one of the biggest drivers that all teenagers, young adults should have is they want to be liked enough that people will want to help them. So I want my daughter to be prepared to receive mentors, not her mom, not her dad. I want her to find her Bob Buford, and she's big into music, as you know. I want her to find her, musical mentors. I want her to find her professional mentors. I want her to find her spiritual mentors outside of me. But I want her to be not only prepared and ready, but likable and engageable enough to have those kind of folks surround her.
I love that, Chris. Let's finish up with gratitude and philanthropy. You're a huge giver, and you've hosted over 100 charity, probably well over hundreds of charity fundraisers for different organizations, different groups. I've got a list of many here that you support over the years. But let's talk about that. Many times people feel like, well, when I get to a certain point in life where I've got these things fixed, or this is all just right, I'll start living my life and I'll start giving back and I'll start creating memories. Can we just flip the switch? I know what you'll say, but I'd like to hear in your words, what's wrong with that thinking, and how should people look at their life in terms of gratitude and giving back, no matter where they are in their walk?
So I'm convinced that somewhere the switch was flipped and people got the wrong idea around philanthropy. Philanthropy is not about you just giving to benefit others. Actually, I'd go the other way, and I would say that by being philanthropic, the real gift is to you. So your last question to me was in raising my daughter. Bishop started accompanying me to charity events probably at age 3 or 4. She's performed in a bunch. I used to host events in my backyard. She's been to probably 40, 50 of those. And her sense of giving and my sense of giving are very much aligned, both from a nurture and a nature standpoint. And what I find is being philanthropic is a gift to me in terms of it grounds me emotionally. It fulfills me. It satiates, it satisfies. And no matter what life throws at you, good or bad, by giving, the situation becomes better. If life's going great, had a phenomenal year, and I give, fantastic. If life is tough and it's challenging, yet I find a reason to give or to spend time, not just money, but time, talents, treasures, as you know, all of that tends to put things into perspective, because a lot of times it's easy to major in the minors in terms of what stresses us out, what frustrates us, what annoys us. You know, the stuff that's real and serious is, you know, family relationships. It is health. Yet a lot of times we find ourselves caught up in an investment or a financial situation. Those are all nuisances. Those are, you know, minor challenges. The stuff that really matters, you know, do you love somebody else? Does somebody else love you? Are you trying to make this world a better place? And I believe that it is incumbent on all of us who have received gifts, not only in terms of our own accomplishment, but through the mentorship and the giving of others, to return that favor. You know, I met Bob Buford, as I said, when I was about 27, 28 years old. I stayed with him till I was 32, and I will spend a lifetime repaying the gift of his time. But more importantly, I'm going to spend a lifetime reaping the gifts of his teachings, both in terms of benefiting others, but then also benefiting myself. That to me seems like a life worth living.
I think that's a great place to cap this off. Chris Ryan, I really want to thank you for your time, your insights, and your wisdom. You mentioned that people who wanted to connect with you, what's the best way that you like to stay connected or allow people to enter your world? What's the best way?
Thank you, David. So the website is www.gobundance, GOBUNDANCE.com. My email is chris.ryan@gobundance.com. My other business is R360. That website is www.r360r360.com. My email from that is chris.ryan@r360global.com. That's my global family office that I run. I welcome any of your listeners reaching out to me. And as you know, I'll do whatever I can to help answer any questions that they may have, and do whatever I can, not only to honor the friendship that you and I have, but because that's truly where I get my greatest fulfillment in life.
That speaks exactly of the person I know you to be, Chris. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed watching or learning from this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more content. If you have a question about any of my content or this specific video, just please leave a comment down below. And as always, stay focused on your freedom. I'll see you next time.